This is the story of a town called La Habra, located in sunny Orange, California. In 1949, the townfolk decided to hold an annual festival, the Corn Festival. Did we grow a lot of corn? No. There wasn't a cornfield in sight. We grew oranges, hence the name Orange County. So why the Corn Festival? Who the heck knows? But it was yummy, and this year is the 70th anniversary of cob worshipping. So, with the help of Planet Coaster and the new vintage pack, I recreated my childhood. No, I wasn't born in 49. Stop it. And I recreated the glorious Corn Festival. Every year, thousands of people, young and old, would line this main street, La Habra Boulevard, obviously, to see the fabulous parade of homemade crappy floats. Um, I hope that's corn. I'm guessing this guy couldn't get real horses to pull the float, so they just painted them on the truck? The parade had high school bands that sounded like noise that comes from your butt after a bad burrito. And there were always local politicians beaning kids in the head with hard candy, hoping for future voters. Then there were the horses pooping on the street, much to the delight of giggling children. At the end of the awesome parade, there were several fire trucks, police vehicles, screaming their sirens until blood came out of our ears. The hordes of onlookers followed them down the street till El Centro Park. This is where the real fun began. You guessed it, corn, and lots of it. Adults stuffed their faces with the hot, toasty treats dripping with butter, while the kids tugged at their shirts, begging for ride tickets and dimes for the arcades. Yes, I said dimes. Don't judge. Sit back, relax, and enjoy this tribute to the 70th glorious year of the Corn Festival, recreated in Planko. Yes, the sign says 68. I literally could not find this year's. I'm guessing they forgot it was their anniversary this year? I grew up going to this event every year, so it's the 70th anniversary this August, and I thought it would be fun to recreate it in Planko. The vintage pack had a lot of rides I loved and remembered from the Corn Festival, so it was the perfect time for me to recreate it. So here is my version of the sign. It's a very low budget entrance park sign. I had to add paths in this park. The original one did not have them, but I wanted the people to be able to get around. So they have paths. I think it's a great addition to the park. They should add them. So here's the entrance to the real park. There's a maintenance shed back here. This building here is where they sold corn, and on top of the building is where the bands would play at night. It was really high tech. And then in the middle, there's um a flagpole with a little dedication there. And this is my version. It's a little bit different, of course, because there were streets, surrounding the original park. And of course, I didn't have those in Planko, but you could see the corn building on the left there. And this was you could see the building where they sold the corn. That's where the bands played up on top. Down below is where they sold the corn. It's very basic building. We, of course, didn't have a playground when I lived there years and years ago. We just sat around and picked grass mostly. Then back here was the basketball court. And then the maintenance building was way back in the back. So this is my version. This is kind of the what I call the front of the park. We had a little banner announcing the festival. We didn't really have ticket gates. We had these cardboard cutout things all over. There was no entrance fee, but for ride tickets. And then this was the building. This is it. Real simple building. Just had like a kind of like baseball concession stands where you get the corn, and on at night only the top bands. They were pretty crummy. Then around back they would have like a temporary fence where they brought in the pallets and boxes of corn, and I remember they had a ton of them. Well, it looks like we sprung a leak over here. All right, well, their fire truck get on that. And then every once in a while they would have car shows too. We'd have police and fire and all the city, utility trucks, and maybe some army reserves or something like that in there. And then over here, I mean, there was just like a basic staircase going up to the roof, and that's where the bands would play at night. Yeah, some of them were pretty good. And of course, there was a police officer. My father was a police officer, and he was always at the corn festival, so I stuck him back here with the food because that's where he would be. And then over here, they always had a place to eat and picnic benches and sometimes little tents and stuff like that to give you a little bit of shade. Of course, it's California, so weather's not bad. And then, true to fashion, it was messy. And then we always had like a little jail that was sponsored by, some local group like the Lions Club or something that you could pay money to put your friends or family in jail. Of course, it was made out of a cardboard box. This one is quite, elaborate compared to what we used to have. This poor guy got tagged, and he's in there waiting to get out. So that was a lot of fun. And then there weren't really aisles, it was just kind of spread out. We would have vendors, and of course, I tried to recreate those as best I could in Planko. We had games, and there were, shops and crafts and all kinds of stuff like that all over the place and kind of down an aisle. And of course, we always had the Ferris wheel, and the Sizzler was one of our big rides that we always had, and the Hammerhead back there in the back. Um, and everything was just kind of spread out all over the place. So, this is my version of the Corn Festival. We always had a big Ferris wheel, which was me and my grandmother's favorite thing to ride. It was a lot of fun. You could see all over the city. And we always had these little ticket booths where you could buy the ride tickets, and they were kind of chintzy and all over the place. And then I don't remember if we had one of these or not, but where you get your fortune told. Let's see if this guy gets anything good. Yeah, he's amused. He likes it. And then, of course, we always had the Midway Games that were all over the place. And yes, way back then, they were a dime. I know, showing my age here. That's okay. And of course, we always had the creepy carny people that were, I don't know, weird. They were always scary for little kids. But we had a good time. All the vendors and food all over the place. Corn was, of course, the main thing, but we had other food there as well. And of course, these are new to the game, these little vending machines. They're awesome, so I had to put those in. We did have Coke machines and stuff, so they fit in quite well. They're racing to go to the ride. Yeah, and we had arts and crafts people and all that all over the place. And back here, if you could see way in the back, that was added later, I think years after I left, was the bathroom. And then we had just like a basic wood building. And then one of these buildings was the jail. And I think, literally, I think it was made out of cardboard. And then up here on the right was where the band would play at night. And then we had like car shows and that kind of thing. So that was a lot of fun. So here's my version of the current bathroom. It's a whole lot nicer than the building I remember. The building I remember was just a basic wood structure, and I don't even remember if we had drinking fountains. I'm sure we did. But this one is much, much nicer. They've added a new one. This is what it looked like after the parade, everybody rushing to the carnival. So we had the bullet, or we also called it the hammerhead, and that's just vomit waiting to happen there. There was always a pile somewhere in there. That's one ride that I would not go on. No, no way. We literally had cardboard boxes for ticket booths. This is my version of the hammerhead. All the people waiting to vomit on that one. Yeah, I was not that brave. I would not go on that ride for anything. And then at least a couple years we had a kiddie roller coaster. I don't think we had one every year, but we did have one at least one year that I remember. And it was very small, very basic, and I think 3-year-olds could ride it. I don't know. It was pretty small. But this is my recreation of that coaster that I remember. And this right here, this was a lot of fun. When it spins around, you literally can't move your arms or anything. You're just stuck to the wall. And I think we called it the tilt-a-whirl. I don't remember ours tilting up like the in-game one. It might have. I just don't remember. But yeah, that usually was a big old barf fest also. But I love the way they did this in Planko. It's gorgeous. This is another one we had. I think we called this the octopus. I don't really remember, but it was really fun too. And this one was one of my favorites. My family and friends would always stick me on the inside, and of course you would get totally squished if you were on the inside, just the force, I guess. But we rode this several times. It was one of my favorites. And this one is another one that I would not go on, because this is just like being an ice cube in a martini shaker. You just, I don't know why you would go on this. You just get shook up. Look at the detail in this game. It's awesome. I love it. And then there we had our little basketball court over there, and I didn't play basketball, but one of my friends, Anne-Marie, she was a good basketball player. She would play over there. And we had kiddie rides, nothing like this. This one's pretty cool. This one turns upside down, but I do remember having like a little airplane or helicopter or something, but it didn't turn upside down. I just love the detail and the sound in this game is incredible. Such detail in all these rides. And then this was one of my favorites also. Ours would play really loud music, and it didn't have the cover to it, but it had all the flashing lights, and it went really fast. And this one's cool. And this was another one of my favorites. This was the teacups. We call them teacups. Spun around, played music. It was a lot of fun. And this is our sad little maintenance building way over here. Ours was just a shack. It looks a whole lot better now. So of course the park gets better at night. It's always exciting for little kids, and it looked absolutely gorgeous, just like Planko does at night. That concludes this little stroll down memory lane and my tribute to the Corn Festival. I'm so glad I could share a little piece of my history and my childhood with my Planko fam. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this little tribute.
And I hope to see you in the next one. Take care, guys.